At this hour, we are following new reaction from Khizr Khan and the Trump campaign, and it all comes amid the backlash over the Republican nominee's initial response to the DNC convention speech, which Khan gave as the father of a fallen Muslim American.
The world is receiving us like we have never seen. They have seen the blackness of his character, of his soul, that he is void of recognizing, empathizing with people.
Again, this is the Clinton narrative. Mr. Trump, of course, feels sorry for what the Khan family has gone through, just frankly as he felt sorry for the victims that spoke before the Republican convention, who's lost loved ones from illegal immigrant criminals coming in.
Let's bring in Avik Roy, senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, as well as a former Romney campaign advisor. Avik, it's good to talk to you. Tell me, based on what you have heard, what you believe the thinking is right now inside the Trump campaign.
Look, I mean, the Trump campaign has been dealing with these kinds of eruptions, so to speak, every day. So they scratch their head, they try to spin it, and then some of them, of course, say, let Trump be Trump. But thus far, it hasn't affected them, right? I mean, these events have been going on every single day. From the very first day he walked down that escalator and said that the Mexicans coming to America were rapists. We all thought he was finished then. Here we are.
I don't know if I agree with you. Doesn't this one feel a little bit different? It's one thing for him to start out talking about Mexicans being rapists and the like, but we've had a full year plus of this. You think this might be something like the straw that breaks the camel's back?
I will say that moment at the Democratic convention, if you looked at my conservative friends on Twitter, colleagues, politicos, that was the moment that electrified them the most and the moment that made them feel like Trump was not their guy. And to the degree that it's possible that Republicans stay home or don't vote for Trump, at least a certain segment of them, because they're alienated by that rhetoric, I think this is certainly an example of where that could be, that could play out.
Okay. So, were you to be advising the Trump campaign, what would you be telling them?
I really don't know, because Trump doesn't take that kind of advice. Trump doesn't take the advice of toning it down. Paul Manafort has tried that. The let Trump be Trump phenomenon is where we are. I don't really know what kind of advice you can give a guy like Donald Trump.
So you're a Republican. Don't you want a Republican in the White House?
Well, I don't know if I'm a Republican anymore. Honestly, I think Donald Trump being the head of the Republican Party makes me wonder if I'm really a Republican, whether the Republican Party reflects the values that I care about. And no, I wouldn't say that a Republican has to be in the White House for any particular reason. I think we want someone to be president who will advance the country's interests and advance the country's values. I'm not really convinced that Trump is that guy.
So are you going to vote for Hillary Clinton?
I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. I've seriously considered voting third party or not voting at all in the presidential election, or maybe writing somebody in like Marco Rubio or Rick Perry.
Okay, so Avik, though, what is the one issue that you worry about as a Republican, about having Hillary Clinton in the White House? And does your concern about that issue, does it outweigh your dislike for Donald Trump? Sure.
The number one issue I worry about with Hillary Clinton is the Supreme Court. So as somebody who believes in constitutional conservatism and the strict construction approach to constitutional jurisprudence, I know that if Hillary Clinton is the nominee or is the president of the United States, that she'll elect someone who reflects her principles, and replacing Scalia, that will be very consequential on a number of areas that are controversial right now in the judicial system. So that worries me. But I'm not necessarily convinced that Trump's nominees to the Supreme Court are going to be that much better. So while I know Clinton is a known quantity in that regard, Trump is an unknown quantity in that regard.
All right. You've just basically said the same thing you said to me on Monday when you told Vox that the GOP is basically dying because of Donald Trump. But you also said that as a result, you think that the Democrats will be in control of American politics for a while yet to come. But that was on Monday. After watching the Democratic convention, do you still believe that's the case?
Absolutely. I mean, that was what was so interesting about the last day of that convention, right? Hillary Clinton and her team knows this. They know that there are conservatives out there who are very alienated by the way the Republican Party is going these days with Trump at the top of the ticket, and they're trying to bring some of those voters along. We'll see possibly an ideological realignment where the Democratic Party wins elections, but maybe what the Democratic Party stands for in 20 years is different, because if the Republican Party implodes and a lot of those voters go to the Democratic Party, the Democratic coalition may change. But I do think the Republican Party is in this kind of death spiral where it keeps driving out people, and then it's left with this rump of people who are much more about white identity politics and nationalism, and that core is shrinking, and eventually it's going to be replaced by something else. I don't think it's capable of righting the ship at this point, which I regret saying because, you know, I care about these principles that used to be aligned with the Republican Party.
Avik Roy, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your
Thanks,
candor.
Alex.